Okay, good evening. Let's see here. We've got a couple of announcements to make. First of all, the Holiness Summit starts tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, and that'll be at the campground. And it'll be Friday at 10, 2, and 7, and then Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. There will be a youth planning meeting this Sunday. Nope, next Sunday. I'm sorry. The next Sunday. I'm rushing it. Be the 26th at 5 o'clock. And Ms. DeVita says to say thank you or hello and thank you for your prayers. Keep her in your prayers. She is at Lawrence County Hospital in room number 6. She's in swing bed now. So, and she looked a lot better this afternoon. So do continue to pray for her. And also there's going to be a baby shower. That is hard to read. Okay, a baby shower will be the 19th. That is this Sunday at Good Hope Baptist Church. It's for Courtney McCardle and Jesse, little baby Jesse, and that's going to be at 2 p.m. And there's that's on the bulletin board too, I think. All right, are there any other announcements? All right, do we have any prayer requests? Unspoken?
Miss Lisa Codwell that I put on prayer this Sunday, she made it through her surgery all right this morning.
Good,
And as far as they know, it's not cancerous. Everything's good.
good. Well,
I knew that already because I put her on the prayer list.
we'll keep praying for her healing now as she recuperates from the surgery. Well, you weren't listening?
No, I just came in.
She wasn't listening. That's what it was.
Well, I was listening to somebody on the phone.
She's at Lawrence County Hospital in swing bed. She came Monday, and she is doing better. She's in room 6. All right, let's go to the Lord in prayer at this time then. Keith, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Lord, we thank you this day, Father. We just thank you for the many blessings you've given us, Father. We thank you for allowing us to be in your house this evening, Father. Lord, just lead, God, and direct us. We'll be totally content with the words that are going to be said to us, Father. Lord, just bless the ones that are sick that's on our prayer list, Father. You know their needs, Father. Just help them and guide them, Lord, through whatever is going on with them, Father. Lord, just bless us and guide us. And give you all the glory and praise. For we ask all these things, your humble blessed name. Amen.
All right, let's walk to class. How are you doing? Hit 'em up. I had to get a job to get some rest. All right, so how many real life friends would you say that you have? You know, a lot of times we look at Facebook and we look at friends and we say, ooh, look at all the friends I got. But those aren't real. All right. It's a good start. What do you enjoy doing with your friends? Eating's always good.
I like to do worship, certain folks.
Okay.
Lisa got me one for Christmas, and I did my first puzzle tonight, waiting on George. Teaching me patience.
Hello, hello. How are y'all doing? So, and you don't have to answer this out loud, but I want you to think about this question. When is the last time that you did something nice for a friend just to do it? Just think about that. When's the last time you did something nice for a friend just to do it? Not expecting anything, not asking for anything, just doing something nice. We're going to talk tonight about, well, here, let me do it this way. Let me introduce it, if I can get back to it here. Y'all remember this one? Y'all remember that one? That better? That better? Y'all remember that song? So happy together. All right. So happy together. I thought that'd be a good way to introduce the lesson. The writer actually does reference that song. But when I read the title, that's exactly where my mind went. What we're going to talk about is investing in the lives of other people. And with the understanding that investing in the lives of other people is really a key principle to friendship, to being a friend. And also to, remember our theme this month is fun and having a fun Christian life. Last week, remember we talked about the wedding, Jesus turning the water into wine, talked about how we as Christians are to have a good time, and it's okay to party the right way and to enjoy life. I know a lot of times people look at Christians and say, oh, well, you're a Christian, so you're just a stick in the mud, you're boring, you never have fun, and well, maybe they're right for some for some of us, but some of us like to have fun too, right?
We don't have fun according to their fun definition, but we do have fun. We enjoy being together and doing things.
We have fun and remember it. Moving on. God wants us to look at friends as people we can serve and love. Now, that's contrary to what popular social opinion is. I think a lot of people look at friends as, okay, what can this person do for me, or how can they help me? What do they have that can benefit me? And if we can think of something, then I want to be their friend. Then that's not really friendship, is it? That's more, well, that's using people, and that's just not what friendship is all about. When we talk about Christians and love and being a true friend, then we don't look at our friends as what they can do for me, but rather what can I do for them? How can I be a friend to them? And in fact, what's the old saying? What's the best way to make a friend? Be a friend. So we have to be a friend in order to make a friend. And I think sometimes we miss that too. And partly for that reason, because we're too busy looking at what they can do for us rather than what we can do for them. As Christians, we need to be more about giving to rather than taking from. How can I help? How can I come alongside? How can I support, encourage? When you look at Facebook or Instagram or any of the social media, when you scroll through and look at the news feeds, what thought comes to your mind? Do you look at it as, what are they up to? Or as you look at it, in the back of your mind, are you looking at it from the standpoint of, how can I help? What can I do to support them? Maybe it's to pray for them, like you've done for Lisa. Maybe it's to come alongside and to do something that for them that they need. But that's what we need to think about as Christians: is how can we come alongside and give rather than receive? When you see someone in need, meet the need. If it's something that you can do, if it's something that you're able to do, just simply do it. Don't ask questions. Don't ask them if you can. Just simply do it. I think sometimes we see needs, and in the back of our minds are thinking, oh, I really ought to do something for them, but we come up with 100 reasons why we can't. But if we feel the Holy Spirit prompting us, we need to do so. We should give with no thought of getting. In other words, love in the same way that God loved us. Real friends think more about how they can give and less about what they can get. That's what real friends do. And so coming back to the question that I asked at the beginning now, and again, don't answer this out loud, but think about it. How many real friends do you have? How many real friends do you have that come alongside and help and support and encourage and give, as opposed to those that they're there as long as you have, and when you don't have any more, then they disappear. Remember the prodigal son? He got his inheritance and he went away, and he had a whole bunch of friends as long as he had money. But when the money was gone, so were the friends. So did he really have friends? No. In Acts chapter 2, verses 42 through 47, we have the story of the birth of the church, the early church. And we have there recorded what these people did. And I want to read just a couple of comments that's recorded there, that Luke recorded there. All the believers were together and had everything in common. Now, let me put a little caveat here. I'm not saying that we need to come together in a commune and put all of our goods together. That's not what I'm saying. This is what the early church did. And this is what worked for them at the time. They didn't go together in a commune, but they did come together. They had everything in common. In other words, as they came together, if this person had something that this person needed, they shared it with them. And they did that across the board. So consequently, the needs of each person were met by others as they came together. And in the next section it says, every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. So that really kind of stood out to me. They, what did you say, Keith? Friends, you like to eat with your friends? Well, that's what they did. They broke bread. They came together and enjoyed meals together. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts. They were happy. They were joyful. They were rejoicing in what they had. And as a result of that, they also had good favor with the people. As people watched them and saw what was going on, they began to realize there's something about this. And in fact, the very next sentence says, and the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. So when people saw what was going on, they're like, I want to be a part of this. That's what I want. I want this. So with that thought in mind then, ask yourself this question. And don't answer it out loud, but ask yourself this question. Do we as a church love each other, help each other, support each other, and encourage each other enough that others, as they're looking in, see this and want to be a part of it? Think about that. That's just food for thought. So the early church that Luke described is really a lot different than our churches today. For one thing, they didn't have the church buildings like we have now because, again, this was the birth of the church. The church was just getting started. Jesus had just died and been raised from the dead just a month and a half, 2 months earlier, and the church was born the day of Pentecost there in Jerusalem. And as they're developing, as they're growing the church, they just simply met in their homes, came together in their homes. They met where they could. And a lot different than it is today. But it's also different, not just because of where they met, but how they met. When someone tells you that they're going through a hard time, what we're tempted to do a lot of times is this. I'll pray for you. I'll put you on my prayer list. Do we? You know, it's easy sometimes to say I'll pray for you, but it's a little bit harder to come alongside and actually do it. Or maybe we'll give them a like on the post if it's on Facebook or whatever. We'll give them a like, but unfortunately for most people, that's as far as we're willing to go. Well, I'll do that. I'll say I'll pray for you, and I'll even pray for you, and I'll put a like on your post. But are we willing to go the next step? Are we willing to take that, not just, I'm going to pray for you, but here, let me put some hands and feet to my prayers. The early church gave what they had. They didn't have a lot, but what they had, they gave. They shared with each other. They encouraged each other. They supported each other. They did what was needed to help each other. Can you imagine what the church would be like today if we did that? Can you imagine what the church would be like if we did what the early church did? If we gave,
There's big chairs in the room.
we'd have to build a bigger building, wouldn't we? But more importantly, and it's not about the numbers, it's about helping people to find Christ, bringing them into a right relationship with Jesus Christ. That's really what the goal is. That's what our purpose is. And that's what the early church was doing. Remember that last sentence that I read? The Lord added daily those that were being saved. They were being saved because of what they saw the people doing and what the people were doing, not just for each other, but for those they saw in need. I'm sure that there were some that they helped that were not a part of the church. A lot of times that's where we'll go. Well, we're going to take care of our own, right? Oh, they're not one of us, so we'll think about it, but they're not one of us. That's not what the early church did, and that's not what we should be doing either. Because our job, our responsibility, let me put it that way, our responsibility is to help where help is needed if we're able to do so. Imagine how much happier we would be if we loved others like this. the focus that we see in the early church is the same focus that we should have, and the focus was an outward focus. It wasn't inward. It wasn't what do I need? What's going to help me? What's going to make me feel better? What's going to improve my situation? It wasn't about me. It was about helping, reaching out, doing for others. And that's what we see there in the early church. If we treated our friends like they did in the early church, friends would be more than just people we have fun with in between dealing with life. They'd be more than just friends. They'd be family. We would have that close relationship that God intends for us to have. There is a warning, however. Giving is costly. It's going to cost us money. It's going to cost us in time, maybe even in our possessions. There are things that we may have to give. I know you've heard the saying, you can't outgive God. It's a true saying, but don't give to see what you can get. Because, that defeats the purpose. Remember what Jesus said about the Pharisees and some of the religious leaders of the day, that they would go around doing good deeds for people, and and this is what they actually did. They would have people standing on the corner shouting out about the good deeds that these people were doing as they were doing it, so that everybody around you, hey, look at what old so-and-so is doing. They're helping this, and they're doing this, and they're doing that. Do you remember what Jesus said? They have their reward. That's it. That's all they're getting right there. That's it. What did he tell us to do instead? He said, don't let the right hand know what the left hand's doing. Do it in secret. Do it in the closet. There's no need to publicize it. There's no need to announce to everybody what you're doing. God knows when you do what he's asking you to do. And that's the way it should be. We do it simply because it's what God's asking us to do. And when we do what God is asking us to do, when we're helping others, then it helps us in return. Opening our hearts and giving to others allows us to grow closer to others, first of all, because you do develop a bond there, a relationship. It helps you to grow closer to God. It honors God. And in fact, it helps to show others the way to Christ, because that's how you do it. I know a lot of times people think, well, the way that you win people to Christ is by telling them that Jesus died on the cross for them. Well, that's true. But if that person has a need, let's say that person is hungry, are they going to listen to you tell them about Jesus? Mm-mm. They're not. Give them something to eat, and then talk to them about Jesus. They're more likely to listen, aren't they? When we meet the need that the person has, then it makes it possible for us to reach them with the love of Christ. We share the love of Christ, and we give joy to those who need it, those that can use it. And when we do that, we in return receive a blessing as well. And that blessing may just simply be a happy heart, because we know that we did the right thing. We know that we did what God has asked us to do. And when we do that, then really that's all we need. So what kind of friend do you want to be? Think about that. What kind of friend do you want to be? Do you want to party and have fun and leave all your worries behind? Or do you want to be a friend who is there in good times and bad, lending a hand and sharing real love? What kind of friend do you want to be? When we look at the early church, I think the early church exemplified this very well. When they came together, when they had their meetings, whatever the purpose was, whatever they were doing, whatever they were meeting for, they met each other's needs first. And then as they met the needs of those around them, they were able to come together and enjoy the meal and do the things that they were able to do or needed to do. And God blessed them for that. We, the church today, need to be the same. We need to practice the same friendship. Again, it's an outward focus. Look around you. In fact, do that this week, the rest of this week. Take time, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram or whatever you're doing, or even just at work or at school or walking through the store shopping or whatever it is that you're doing. Have an open mind and open eyes and look for a need that you can help with. And when you see that need and it's something that you can do, then just simply do it. Don't make a big fuss about it. Don't make a big deal about it. And I don't want to know about it. But God will. And that's all that matters. And what you're going to find is that as you do that, and you make that a habit, you make that a practice, you'll be amazed at what you will be able to accomplish for God. So let's be outward focused, not inward focused. Let's be friends that give, not friends that take. Any questions, any comments?
Brother Bobby, I went on the walk to Emmaus. It's be a friend. Be a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Motto. And at any given time, there's over 300 people praying for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like one time that my feet lifted off the ground. It was so powerful when they all come
Mhm.
together with those lights. They're waiting for you outside when you complete your walk. And it's just, if you ever get to experience something like that, I say go for it. But they pray for you the whole 72 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Same walk Jesus walked to Emmaus for 72 hours. So they brought it into a whole weekend to where you prayed up before you go, while you're there, and they feed you some of the best foods.
Mm-hmm.
Like you was talking about feeding us, and we was just open-minded, and the Spirit flowed through there that last night. Like I said, I felt like I floated up
Mm-hmm.
and out to my car and we left. But it was an awesome experience.
It's amazing what we can experience when we let God use us, let God work through us.
Sometimes people will say, well, there's nothing I can do. I can't help anybody. But, the world, there are so many things you can do for your child sometimes. Sometimes it's just a text message, sometimes it's a phone call, a car. It might be a meal, it might be just a visit. But there's always a way to pick up somebody.
You never know how much, you never know what effect you'll have on somebody when you just send them a message. Maybe it's a text message, maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's a Facebook message or whatever, but you just send them a message that lets them know not, hey, what's going on in your life, but rather, I just want you to know that I'm praying for you. That I care about you, that I love you, and that I'm praying for you. That's it. And I think too many times, though, when we, how do I put this nicely? We're nosy people. We're curious people. Let me put it that way. We're curious people. When we see somebody that they'll say, hey, I've got a need, what's our first response? What's going on? What's happening? Don't you think that if they wanted you to know, they'd have said that there? Instead, why don't we just simply say, I'm sorry that you're going through this, but I'm here for you. I'm praying for you. I want to come alongside you and pray for you and pray with you. That's it. Just give what you can give. And it may just be a prayer. It may just be a text. It may be that you're able to share financially with them, or possessions, or share a meal with them or something. Whatever it is that you can do, no matter how small it may seem, it is not small in God's eyes. Because whatever God's asking you to do, there's a reason for it. And he's going to use it for his honor and for his glory. If all hearts and minds are free, let's stand then. Miss Eleanor, would you dismiss us in prayer, please?